Welcome into Section 1904. It is a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday morning. We're getting rolling earlier than normal, for us at least. Since there is a Padre Day game, this is also not just a local sports and culture conversation each and every day, but also turning into a travel podcast as well. So thank you very much to Only Padres on Blue Sky. I apologize for not knowing the proper name of Only Padres when I was talking yesterday about needing a visa to go to Europe. I had a lot of people who helped out, including at Only Padres on Blue Sky. Your pictures there. I feel like I should probably.
I can give a shout out. That's Rob Harrington,
Okay.
your friendly neighborhood trolley engineer. If you're ever riding the San Diego trolley, there's like a 10% chance that Rob's driving it.
No way. That's not Rob. I know Rob. No, that's not the same person.
I swear to God, isn't it? I swear, unless I've really mixed up two different people. I believe Rob, who I think I was introduced to him years and years ago with like a Tumblr page called This Is San Diego.
Tumblr? Are you sure it wasn't MySpace?
It was no. This is how you know it was years and years ago, and I'm pretty sure it was on Tumblr. I'm almost positive that when he switched from Twitter to Blue Sky, he went all in on Only Padres, which I think is supposed to be a reference to Only Fans, which is the site that a lot of nude modeling and subscriptions go on. I did have a couple of people when we were starting this Section 1904 project recommend that we try to do subscriptions through OnlyFans, and I'm really glad I didn't even look into that. But yeah, I believe his name is Rob, and I believe he is that guy, the trolley guy.
Have I told you my idea of a local collaboration between some members of the media that I would call Fans Only? Have I told you about that idea?
You did tell me about that idea.
Yes.
I love that idea
It
so
is a
much.
great idea. I know. I'm here. If anybody wants to pick up the phone and call me, I feel like this is a winning concept. If I can just combine two of these people to collaborate on a project daily on YouTube, and we would call it Fans Only, I think there's a lot of tension between the two people. But if they can bury the hatchet and not in each other's necks, I think that's a winning concept. But I'm not so sure about that. And I feel like this is going to lead to a lot of problems for us, because I thought that person who you're talking about, who I know, Rob, who is a trolley operator in San Diego, who I've seen within the last couple of months at AleSmith when I went and did the Ben and Wood show during the postseason. I guess that was October. So that was a long time ago, because that was during the postseason, I think. I thought his name was Bishop, Rob Bishop.
Maybe
on Twitter.
Rob Bishop. He might have been Rob Bishop on Twitter for whatever reason. But yeah, I think it's Rob Harrington. Maybe I'm getting last names wrong. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Anyway, he sent you stuff to get you into Spain or information
right,
about
yes.
travel.
And it turns out that this visa that I was stressed about yesterday is not required until 2026.
Hallelujah.
So on to today's challenge, which is booking a train, John. Booking a train from Valencia to Barcelona. And the problem with booking trains or booking travel is when you put it in any sort of search engine, you immediately get bombarded with the optimized travel sites that are trying to sell you stuff. And you're not really quite clear about, is this a reputable site? Is Rail Ninja a real thing? And now I'm on Reddit looking up, is Rail Ninja a real thing? Just because some 18-year-old optimized the search engine to make it pop up there. So, I'm now dealing with, like, I was just on the verge of purchasing 2 train tickets from Valencia to Barcelona. And then I had to consult on a WhatsApp group with a bunch of strangers to find out what exactly the best way of purchasing train tickets was. So, it's this is, like I said, it's becoming a bit of a travel podcast each and every day, Section 1904. Hey, by the way, speaking of, we'll get to sports here in a second.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you went and picked your mother-in-law up at the airport last weekend, correct?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It was a nightmare, honestly.
Okay.
No one has asked me about this. What's funny is I go to pick her up, and I haven't been down to the airport in, I don't know, a few months, right? And like the last time I went down there, they had just opened the Terminal 1 parking garage, but there's still a ton of construction going on. Mm-hmm. So I go down, and I'm assuming there's construction going on, there's things changing, and I'm looking for the cell phone lot, and like the signs are sending me in one direction, and I follow that direction, and like Next thing I know, I'm sitting in traffic. I'm trying to get to the cell phone lot so I could pick up my mother-in-law at Terminal 2. I'm following signs, and next thing I know, I'm at departures and arrivals for Terminal 1, stuck in all that traffic. And I'm like, what the hell?
Okay.
And then I see signs going like, cell phone lot, keep going. Cell phone lot, keep going. So I'm like, okay, so I follow it. And at one place, there's like a sign that says cell phone lot, and it's diagonal. The sign is diagonal. And there's a street that's diagonal, but it says cell phone lot straight. But the sign is diagonal. So I'm assuming it's trying to point me onto the slight left turn. So I take that, and next thing I know, I'm looping out of the airport. It's putting me back on Harbor Drive. And finally, I just like saw a thing that said like Terminal 1 parking. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to pay the $2 or whatever. I'm just going to go park. And so I went into the parking lot. I parked, and it was funny because I get out and I walked into the airport. My mother-in-law is coming down the escalator in Terminal 2. And she's like on her phone. I could see she's texting me, and I just walked up to her. I was like, afternoon, ma'am. And she was like, ah! She like freaked out. She's like, I was expecting you to like pick me up outside. I was about to text you. I was like, yeah, it's just, there was so much construction, so much confusion. I literally got lost at an airport that I've been to at least 100 times in my life. And I was like, it was just easier for me to park and walk.
Well, in your defense, this airport is unrecognizable from, I'm guessing, the last time that you were actually there because of all the construction, right? So they did Terminal 2's
5 months ago. It wasn't that long ago.
They did Terminal 2's remodel a bunch of years back. And I think everybody would agree that Terminal 2 is, it looks like a modern airport. Yeah, which
Wonderful.
is, I mean, it's the very, the most basic thing that you could say is it looks like a more modern airport now.
Yeah.
I will say one of the issues here with Terminal 2 is still getting in and out of there, because it's still like a single lane in and out of Terminal 2.
Yeah.
And that is not great. It is not great. I mean, it's great that you put in some modern amenities and you've upgraded the terminal and there's a better parking situation and you drop people off upstairs, you pick them up downstairs. Although I will say, just a little bit of an airport hack here from somebody that's at the airport a lot. If you are picking people up who can walk up to the top, have them walk up to the top.
Yeah.
Don't share that with a lot of people because you'll spoil it for everybody. It's like when nobody knew about the 905 freeway when we were all going to the amphitheater. And then one day, one idiot on the radio is like, oh, don't you know the shortcut? You take the 905 and you just come into Coors Amphitheater.
Hey, wait, when you're leaving the airport, do you turn left and go like go that way over to like towards downtown? Or do you go right and take the little like back road into Point Loma? Because that's what I've started doing.
No. Well, I won't reveal all of my secrets, but one of them is, because my wife flies in and out of Terminal 2 a lot, that I will say, I will pick you up, but I will not pick you up downstairs. You've got to walk upstairs and I'll pick you up there because it's just a little bit more civilized on the upper level than it is on the lower level. So, that's one thing. Now, when my in-laws come to town like you got to do what you got to do. You go in, you park, but we got to figure out a way to get more than one lane in and out of there. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Terminal 1. I dropped my wife off at Terminal 1 the other day. Man,
madness.
That looks great. It looks good, though. I mean, it's not ready.
It looks like Terminal 2.
It's not ready, but I feel like it's going to be a massive upgrade. And there's also going to be the dropping off upstairs, dropping off downstairs. So, okay, well, that sounded like it was mostly a manageable situation for you.
Yeah.
Alaska Airlines announced just in the last couple of days that there's going to be more nonstop flights from San Diego. That they are, Alaska is they're cutting back in a lot of places. This was a story in the Union Tribune. This is me making the most out of my $1 per year subscription. And I love a good travel story. Jack Cronin and I used to do nothing but travel stories because we love traveling. Sure. But Alaska just announced that they're going to have nonstop flights to Denver, to Phoenix, and to Chicago.
Chicago, the nonstop flight to Chicago. I did raise my eyebrows and go, that's new. I like that.
And they also have, I think, a couple of days per week. They go into to Fort Lauderdale, I think, which is important for me, my dad. So this is a long-winded way of saying shout out to H.J. Preller, who turned me on to this entire culture many, many years ago. John, I'm going to Barcelona 100% on points. And going upgraded status, not first class, but upgraded status, 100% on points, because H.J. Preller recommended a credit card to me that I got 70,000 sign up bonus points. And I've now converted this into trips back and forth. And I'm going to dump this card and I'm going to pick up an Alaska Airlines card, not just because I'm a stockholder, although I'm petrified to go look and see what the current status of that is. But also now it seems like Alaska's investing in San Diego, so that's a good thing. So that's exciting. I got excited. Yesterday we were at San Diego Football Club out there at the training center out at Sequan, And we were talking about the international flights now. There's a direct flight from San Diego, I think in May, I think coming up next month, that's going to go direct into Amsterdam. Like, that's exciting because you can train from Amsterdam into a bunch of different places around Europe. So that's really good. It's good news.
That is really exciting, especially for someone who's never been to Amsterdam and has always wanted to go. That's great news. You're going to Spain in April, May. I'm going to Florida in June to do what you'll eventually be doing, which is going to see my father and my uncle, actually a couple uncles. It's like a mini family reunion type of thing, where we're all kind of going to visit some people at the same time. And I usually fly Southwest everywhere. Because take a lot of trips to Texas, and my wife goes to Arizona a lot. We bump around in California, and Southwest has always been easy and cheap, and they're getting less easy, they're getting less cheap. So when we were planning this trip in June for me to go to Florida for a few days, I price shopped around. I was like, who's got nonstop flights to Orlando? Who's got the best price? And you know what I'm flying, Darren? Alaska Airs, which I love Alaska Airlines. Like, I flew them up and down to Portland a few times. Like, they're a wonderful airline. So, I was already like in, and then I saw that news and I was like, oh, should I be getting like a frequent flyer thing for Alaska Airlines? Maybe I'd pick up a credit card like you. Travel.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you said that because my wife travels, right? My wife travels a ton for work, as I just mentioned, and as I've mentioned for many, many years. And forever we've done Southwest Airlines because of Companion Pass, right? Companion Pass, great deal. And you can even swap out your companion 3 times a year. So she just went to Vegas with some friends and she swapped out. I got removed as the companion and her friend Shanna was added as the companion. So they got free flights and all this sort of stuff. And Alaska doesn't do it exactly that way. I think they have like a $99, like you can book a flight with the primary card holder for $99 for a lot of these trips. Yeah. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And there's a lot of perks to it. I checked it out last night, 60,000 sign up bonus right now online, which, maybe you could find a better deal. Maybe they'll do a flash sale or something like that. But to your point, she has primarily used Southwest because, again, she uses it for a lot of her expenses and a lot of her travel. And she even said last night, she's like, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with it. I don't really like where this is all going. Yeah. So I think she's getting rid of the Southwest card. And when I told her that Alaska was adding in 3 more routes, she's like, I think that's it. F you. Like, I'm done. I think I'm going to tap out of Southwest and go to Alaska Airlines. So you're not alone on that. I feel like we're going to convert. I'm probably going to get rid of my Aviator, Alaska, American Airlines, and switch over to Alaska. And I think she's going to do the same. So
it's been like 2 years of me going like, I will deal with Terminal 1. I will deal with Terminal 1 for Southwest. And now I'm like, I don't know. I could go to Alaska. I could just live in Terminal 2 in the lap of luxury.
Yeah. Although, again, I think Terminal 1 it does look very impressive.
Yeah.
And they do have what appears to be a better ingress, as they say, a better way in, because at least it's 2 lanes. It doesn't funnel down the one. They've got to do something different at Terminal 2. Like, you spend all this money on these upgrades and people are just sitting out there on Harbor Drive forever. I've seen people running with their suitcases because they just can't get to the terminal. They don't know what to do. So, anyhow, thank you very much for the advice to only Padres who may or may not be Rob. But I know you look familiar. Anyway, let's just move on. All right. Padres are playing during the day today. It was totally a 180 from yesterday's podcast, where yesterday's podcast is like, the baseball was boring, put me to sleep. So let's talk about the excitement of the NBA. Last night, there were 3 NBA games. None of them were very good. And it turned out the Padres actually played a halfway decent game. Elias Diaz ended up hitting a home run against Flaherty. And that was it, 2-0. And by the time you listen to this, the Padres will probably, only based on the way it's gone so far this season, the Padres may have taken 2 out of 3 from the Detroit Tigers because they haven't lost the series finale yet. I think my research is right. It'll be Kyle Hart, and we'll see. Hopefully, as we discussed a couple of days ago, Hart, Vasquez, who will be the 5th starter. That seems to be one of the subplots. But 2-0, 2-run homer. You can totally tell what was happening too. That Flaherty's like, okay, well, this guy stinks. And Tyler Wade's on deck, so I'd rather lead off the inning with that guy. So here's a fastball, and Diaz made him pay for it.
Yeah.
And that was it. That's all that happened. Some good defense and not a lot of offense. Some good pitching from Pivetta, who, might I say, I saw for the first time yesterday without a baseball cap. That's a handsome man. Nick Pivetta is he's a good pitcher. He's a handsome man too. I saw him without a cap. I was like, what's that mean? I was unfamiliar with your game, sir. So,
Wait,
good on him.
Let's sit here just for a second because I want to tell you a story about something that happened yesterday with my buddy Nick. So my buddy Nick played baseball at UCSD. He's still somewhat involved with their baseball program or USD. I don't know. I get those confused unless I'm actually on the campus. And he every day I see this guy at like pick up at school or drop off at school because our daughters are friends, and he wears a baseball hat every day. And every so often, like once every 6 to 8 months, I see him and he's not wearing the hat. And like yesterday, I literally was walking up to him, and in my brain, I'm like, who's this guy standing where Nick's always standing? And then I was like, oh, he's not wearing a hat. And I walked up to him. I was like, you are such a ball player. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, without a baseball hat, you look like a totally different person. And I was telling him, and then I think we talked about this, you and I was telling him that I saw a video of Mike Schilt without a baseball hat, like in a normal, like it was a button-down shirt and khakis. And I was like, who is this, like, well-dressed, handsome man? And then I was like, wait a minute, that's Mike Schilt. He usually looks like a tub of lard in a baseball uniform. Like, what are we doing here? And then you and I were talking about how silly it is that managers do this, that they wear the whole baseball uniform. But yeah, Mike Schilt, another guy that he takes off the hat, looks so much better. You're like, oh, you got a good head of hair there. You shouldn't be hiding it.
He did it yesterday. I stuck around and watched the post-game press conference, and he took his cap off, and he did that thing where you scratch something, you scratch your head with the brim of the cap. It just was like, it just reminds you of the absurdity that these guys are wearing these baseball uniforms. And I've been told, too, Mike is like, he is a staunch proponent of wearing the uniform. He's not going to wear what some of these other managers do. They just put on the windbreaker top, or they put on their, some sort of athletic apparel. He's not that guy. Mike is a staunch, like, I will be in uniform every day. I'm going to wear the jersey every day. That's Mike Schilt. He's very much about that life. So, he's not going to pull an Aaron Boone. He's not going to pull a Gabe Kapler.
If he had
he's
Gabe
not going to do one of those
guns, if he had Gabe Kapler's guns, he'd be showing them off.
No. He is a Tony La Russa. I will wear the baseball jersey every day. I'm not going to cover it up with some windbreaker like one of these weenies. He's that. Yeah, he's all about that. So, that's Mike Schilt. And that's probably surprised nobody. But yeah, back to Pivetta. I was like, yeah, man. Sometimes these guys take their caps off and you're like, whoa, not great. But this guy took it off. I was like, man, all right. Like, this guy moved up a couple notches for me.
He's also very smiley on the pitcher's mound. Like, he smiles a lot. And it's just jarring to me because you never really see pitchers just like having a good time out there. They're always like, what was the name of the guy who used to huff and puff? He was on the Dodgers and then the Pirates. He'd huff and puff and then stare the batter down. Like, they're always trying to be like super intense. Max Scherzer yelling at himself, Peavy screaming. And like, yeah, to see a guy just out there like, hey man, this is fun. I'm having a good time. It's really fun. I like Nick Pivetta a lot.
Yeah, I do too. He's been a really, really good addition to the team. And again, I hadn't heard much from him or seen much from him, so this is probably not exactly breaking news that I just saw a guy without a hat. I don't know that that's a great way to sell a podcast, but, hey, listen, I mean, it sort of was an observation that I had, that mattered much to me that I'm talking about it the next day. So, yeah. So, and I guess the other bit of news was that, Leo De Vries went for the cycle. I don't know. I mean,
did he really?
Did you? I guess you're not on Twitter. By the way, one other announcement to make. Padre Twitter bot on Blue Sky sounded like a really good idea until it just clogged up the timeline. And so I had to say goodbye. So whoever was responsible for Padre's Twitter bot, I don't know if that person is a subscriber or a listener to Section 1904. Decent idea, but just a timeline killer, man. I had to move on.
Yeah, real timeline killer. Okay, I'm now searching through pictures of Nick Pivetta. 99% of them, he's wearing a hat, and it's like a generic guy. And then when he takes the hat off, you're like, oh, that's a good looking man.
Yeah, he's got some hair. Like he's, again, like I said, sometimes dudes take the hat off. You're like, it's just not great. It's not great. But he's an exception, I suppose. So Off day tomorrow. Back home coming up on Friday. Chance for a mostly successful road trip, I think, given the injuries. But you missed that. You missed all the fawning over Leo De Vries last night for hitting a cycle for Fort Wayne. Did you? I don't know how you could have missed the excitement on that one. It was a ridiculous game too. It was like the last I saw, I think it was 15-13 or something like that in Fort Wayne. So
as a person who grew up in a city with a minor league baseball team. I grew up in Trenton, New Jersey. I was there when the Trenton Thunder were launched. I was there when Tony Clark came through. I was there when Nomar Garciaparra came through. I was there when they switched from being a Red Sox affiliate to a Yankees affiliate. I basically grew up in Waterfront Park. That's where I learned how to score games and a scorebook and all that stuff. The only people who should care about the results of a minor league game, like the actual who wins, who loses, any of that, the score, are the people who live in that town or city, right? Like I'm a big believer of like San Diego Padre fans should not care if the Fort Wayne Tin Caps win a game. Guy hitting for the cycle, I'm sure that says that he's capable of doing it. Maybe someday he'll do it at the major league level, but I don't know that that's anything to get.
Really, you don't want to draw permanent conclusions on that. I know my buddy Darnay Tripp listens to this podcast, so I don't want to rip Darnay, but Darnay did have a take last night while he was posting videos of De Vries hitting this cycle. Do you want to hear it? Do you want to judge it as a good take or a bad take?
Yeah, let's do good take, bad take. We've been talking about doing this for a while.
Darnay did say, I think I'm paraphrasing here, Darnay, and you know I love you, which is always like the worst thing to say before you speak. He said, I'm really glad we didn't get like a year of Garrett Crochet.
Oh, Jesus.
And I don't know that he was factually accurate on that. I think it would have been 2.5 years of Garrett Crochet. So I think maybe there was a little, and I'm not knocking that because I make 10 mistakes a podcast. So, it's just something I've learned to live with, that I will make some mistakes. But I think it was 2.5 years. And I still think some of the pain of last year's postseason for a lot of these people that work for the Padres is still pretty raw. And, if Garrett Crochet could have helped them, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about that. But, is that a good take, or do you not like that take?
Well, I'll tell you what I did immediately was I went to go look and see if CJ Abrams has turned into like a really good baseball player. Apparently he made an all-star team last year. He's like a 3-WAR player. So I guess like De Vries to me has just been in that category with CJ Abrams of like, yeah, he can hit, he can field, he's really fast. Like he'll do some stuff. Cool. But like, I don't view those guys as like superstar players. I don't know if this changes that view. I'm going to go with bad take. I think I would have rather, had a backup plan when Musgrove went down in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I think, anything that might have helped you get through the Dodgers who were on the ropes, to me, and, it's a hypothetical, so none of us would have known, right? We could do this forever. But I don't know. I think 2.5 years of Garrett Crochet, and I think that's the number. I think it was 2.5, not 1. I think 2.5 of him being kind of underpaid for what he delivers. And he got extended, so, that's a totally different scenario. That's not really what I'm talking about here.
This is my thing.
You could certainly justify that. I think you could have.
You could have.
Anyway.
I keep thinking about this in terms of this year's Padres, right? We went into this season, Darren, you and I, saying they're going to make a move for a catcher. They're not going to go the whole season with Diaz and Maldonado as their catchers. They're going to make a move for a catcher. And now all the rest of baseball is looking at the Padres going like, well, they kind of zigged when everyone else zagged on catcher. They went all in on defense and taking care of the pitchers. And I mean, look at them. They're 17-7. They're being dragged across the finish line of a lot of these wins by the pitching staff and the catchers that are running them. And it's like, wow, Preller, what a genius. Zigged when everyone else zagged. And like, the very real possibility is that Preller just didn't find a catcher option out there that felt good to him. And he was like, oh, I'll wait until later. And now everyone's like, wow, that's incredible move from him. So it's like baseball will decide if this is a good take or a bad take by Darnay, not us. And there's a you just have no control over that.
Actually, I saw Jim Russell then hijack that tweet and claim it as his own, so we can just rip Jim. Yeah, because I like Darnay and Jim. I think you can rip Jim a little bit. He's he kind of lives for that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think we're still. You'll forever just think. I'm sure the people that work for the Padres will forever think like, you know, is there anything we could have done? But to your point, the comp that I heard for De Vries, which I think is an interesting one. I mean, if he turns out to be Kettle Marte,
It's a good ball player.
It's a good ball. It's a good player.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the internal comp that they kick around a little bit. That he could be the next right Kettle. How do you say it? Kettle Marte.
I've heard it.
This
both
is where
ways.
Darnay's now got to rim. He's like, this guy doesn't even know how to pronounce this guy.
I've heard it Cattell and I've heard it Kettle, and I don't know which one is right.
Kettle Marte. Yeah. I mean, if he turns out to be that guy or some version of that guy and Jose Ramirez in Cleveland, that's a pretty good player.
Pretty good player.
So, it's a pretty good player, but they had a bunch of pretty good players last year too. I don't know. There's no real right answer to this. Think what you want to think in life. That's the other thing that Pavetta said. And, what are you supposed to say after you throw another shutout? He's like, oh, man, Diaz behind the plate. He was real high praise for Elias Diaz. So that was really good. The NBA, though, was kind of, it wasn't great. It wasn't great last night. I thought maybe for a moment, I thought maybe Minnesota was going to get back into the game against the Lakers. I want to say they were down 8, and Anthony Edwards, who got fined $50,000 yesterday for going back and forth with a fan at Staples Center or whatever the fuck it's called, got fined $50,000. Did you see that for what he said?
I did not see that. Also, Crypto.com Arena, which I think is a company that's gone out of business.
That's still a thing?
I think the company went out of business, but they bought the naming rights. So I think the naming rights on the arena are for a company that doesn't exist anymore, if I'm not mistaken on that.
Great. Sounds amazing. Great job, everybody. So he got fined $50,000 because he was bantering back and forth with a Laker fan. And at first, and you never know. We talk a little bit about AI and like what to believe and what not to believe and all that sort of stuff, right? I mean, I think I was just telling a story over the weekend. Jenny Kavnar is a friend of mine. She's the play-by-play voice of the Sacramento A's. And sometimes now what happens is people capture your voice and they can plug it into whichever service this is. I don't know the terminology.
Yep.
And you can manipulate the sound of somebody's voice. And this is sports, right? This is sports play-by-play. Not all that serious, but you can imagine how serious they could be when you do politics and you take somebody's voice and you're like, do you believe this? Do you not?
Yeah.
And Anthony Edwards was going back and forth, and I wasn't sure. I didn't know. He's going back and forth with a bunch of fans, and at first it's like, hey, I make a bunch of money. I make $200 million. You don't make any money. I make a bunch of money, right? Like, okay, I don't mind that. And then he grabbed at his penis, and he said that he had he goes, I also got a much bigger, not safe for work here, kids. He said, I have a much bigger dick than yours. And the NBA fined him $50,000 for that. So
sometimes you got to pay $50,000 to win that argument, I guess.
I guess so. I mean, I guess you have that kind of energy when you can absorb a $50,000 fine for pointing that out in a public setting, I suppose. But I thought maybe if he cut it to 5, we would have a game, but it wasn't meant to be. So the NBA was kind of dull last night.
Can I give you a quick NBA thing? The Pacers are scary.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Up 2-0. I didn't love that.
The Bucks were not the Bucks weren't in either of these games. Like the Pacers basically started, took a big lead, and then just cruised the rest of the game. And that happened twice. Game 1 without Dame, game 2 with Dame. The Bucks are in trouble, but I don't know, man.
They're still going home, though. I mean, there is that old saying in the NBA about, a series doesn't begin until you lose at home, which is
it's true. And I was gonna say that would be a really scary team for the Knicks to face. I didn't realize that if the Knicks actually get past the Pistons, they're taking on the Celtics. That's terrifying if you're a Knicks fan.
I'm just sitting watching this game, thinking to myself, is Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, are they going to make it further than the Knicks? Anyhow. That's neither here nor there. Who do you I forgot to mention this yesterday, but we talked about how good the Clippers and the Nuggets game was the other night.
Yeah.
You know what made that? The game was great because of the players. Let's not steer away from the plot here. Yeah. But you know what else made that game great? And I was watching them last night. I was watching the games being played. 3 games, none of them too competitive.
Yeah.
Kevin Harlan was on the call. quickly moving up the list of really, really good, in my opinion, feel free to disagree, quickly moving up the list of NBA play-by-play man is Brian Anderson. I don't know if you would agree with that or not, or if you have a favorite national NBA. Breen is for me for reasons that should be obvious. He's the number one play-by-play guy. He's the Knicks broadcaster. So I watch a ton of Mike Breen, and I've known about his career for 30 years. So he's the best for me of the current NBA broadcasters on a local level and on a national level, but quickly moving up. I thought Brian Anderson and Stan Van Gundy were so good in that game the other night. And it's, the game speaks for itself. You got to watch it with the sound off. But I thought they really added something to that broadcast the other night.
Yeah. And to the point where I was noticing the other side, I was noticing the Stan side, which was Stan was trying to make analysis so quick that like the replay guys were having a hard time catching up. Like Stan would be like, grab me that play real quick. I want to break down what happened. And like they would play like the wrong play. And he's like, no, like the next one. And I was like, man, Stan is just on top of this, like breaking it down in real time. And like, granted, he's Stan Van Gundy. Like he's doing that on the sidelines. It makes sense. But yeah, I like him and Brian Anderson have a good rapport. And I think they do a great job with the game. Again, like you, I think Breen is just at the peak of his powers right now. I think Harlan does a good job, but Harlan kind of generalizes in the way that like Al Michaels used to, where like he can do any sport and he'll bring energy to it, but he's not going to add any sort of like analysis. He's just going to paint a picture for you. But I think he does a great job at that. Actually, I don't think it was last night. I think it was the night before. Is Ian Eagle doing one of these games? I heard someone.
Yeah, I saw he did the Knicks game the other night.
Yeah,
he did it. I think with Grant Hill.
That's what it was. It was him and Grant Hill, and it was like the first quarter, and Cat gets like a wide open lane to the basket and dunks it, and Ian Eagle yells out, "The Cat attack!" And like then it was just dead silence for 30 seconds. And as a broadcaster, when they go dead silence for 30 seconds after someone yells something, you know what's happening. They're muting the mics and someone's being like, really? Really? That's what you went with? Or they're laughing or something. And I was just like, what are you doing? Why are you yelling out cat attack? Like, this isn't a local broadcast, and that's not a thing anyone has ever said. What are you trying to do? And it like reminded me a little bit about, remember the last few years of Brett Musburger, when he would try and give everyone nicknames, but they were all just their initials, and it would be like AI out to PG, out to KG. And it got really annoying to listen to him. Like that was the last like 5 years of Musburger doing NBA games, or even, I don't know if he did college basketball. But yeah, I thought Ian Eagle, who I like, and I think he does the Nets broadcast. And I think he's really good on the Nets broadcast. That's a great broadcast.
I think he's also the number one college basketball announcer now.
Yeah,
I was reminded of that watching the Final Four this year, that it's not Nance, and it hasn't been. But
for a couple years, yeah.
And prepare yourself to hear Jim Nance's voice. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Ian Eagle's the guy now.
And Ian Eagle does a lot of NFL too, so maybe he's just trying to slide into that like Harlan role. But it felt very weird. It felt very forced. I didn't like Ian Eagle on the national broadcast, but no, Brian Anderson and Stan were. I think Stan's doing a great job. And Brian is making sure to get him there. So, no, yeah. I agree with you. They're good.
I miss the days of Chris Webber being on these broadcasts, because you could always do a search on social media for Chris Webber, and it was awful commentary. It was just awful. But, man, there was nothing like a Chris Webber basketball game when it was social media time, and you would just plug his name into the search, and you would see every meme from people like, they'd show that Mourinho where he's ripping off the headphones, like, they'd be like, man, this dude just talking for the sake of talking. He's not even saying anything anymore.
I actually think Richard Jefferson is like the anti-Chris Webber. Like, Richard Jefferson's been great. He's whenever he's adding stuff, I'm like, this is entertaining. This is informative. Like I do miss the Chris Webber Twitter. The old days of Twitter. Chris Webber broadcast in the old days of Twitter went very hard.
Hopefully a little better tonight. Magic, Celtics, Heat, Cavs, Warriors, Rockets. I think I'll be okay until 6:30. I think I'll be okay for the most part. Heat, Cavs doesn't do anything for me.
It shouldn't.
Magic, Celtics doesn't really do much for me.
It shouldn't.
It doesn't mean you can't get a good game here. And it sounds like is Tatum out, or was it Brown? One of them I think was questionable for the game.
Brown's been dealing with a ankle or knee thing for a while. There was a really interesting clip. I hate Joe Mazzulla, by the way. He's just like everything that's wrong with modern day coaching for me. And there was a point in the last Celtics Magic game where Tatum went down and just laid there. He ended up having like a wrist injury and he needed to get his wrist taped and everything. And he's laying there on the ground and he's like waiting for the trainer to come out. Mm-hmm. And you see the trainer stand up, start going towards him. Joe Mazzulla stops the trainer, like puts his arm in front of the trainer and goes, no. Takes a sip of water. And the whole time he's staring at Tatum, who's, 90 feet away from him, 70 feet away from him. And then he just yells, get up. And I'm like, what an asshole. This guy's laying on the ground waiting for the trainer to show up because he thinks he's injured. And his coach is just yelling at him to get up. Like,
and now he's doubtful for tonight. So
Tatum?
It was Tatum, yeah. Confused myself there for a second.
I hate Mazzulla, man. What an asshole.
Yeah. So, maybe they can. Yeah, maybe this could be an interesting game. I guess. But it feels like the kind of thing that you pay attention to as the postseason goes on, more than it has any impact against the Magic.
Agreed.
To me. Yeah, and as somebody with a team that might see that team coming up in the next round. Just something to tuck away.
PJ Tucker going to come on and slam that wrist first play.
That's it. Hey, postseason basketball. Postseason basketball. That's what it's all about. It's what it's all about out there. So hopefully we can get a game. And the Clippers play tomorrow, right? So Clippers and Nuggets are back tomorrow. Yeah. I think I have that right. I'm just
in LA.
Checking. So I wonder how much are tickets going for? $100.
Hey, I think your neighbor Will Holder is going to one of those games. Maybe you can hitch a ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about this? For what this is worth, on ESPN.com, there's 3 basketball games tomorrow night. Knicks and Pistons. Tickets as low as $142 in Detroit.
That's Detroit. Yeah.
I mentioned Nuggets Clippers. Tickets as low as $104.
Okay.
Thunder Grizzlies tomorrow night. Tickets as low as $10.
Oh, Jesus.
If you happen to be in Memphis tomorrow night, you can get a ticket for as low as $10.
Oh, my goodness. How sad would that be to pay $10 to go watch the Grizzlies just get beat? I mean, I guess that's not the world's longest drive from OKC to Memphis. Probably a couple hours. I'd make that drive if I was a diehard Thunder fan, maybe, for a $10 ticket.
Yeah, I've not been to Memphis, so I cannot endorse this or give any advice whatsoever. All right. Anyhow, so just a brief update on what it is that we're doing here. So this is section 1904. This is a hopefully daily podcast and community that John and I are building, and we appreciate all the support that we've had from people, whether it's interactions and such. So a couple of things we need to announce, and one of them is, just please, continue thanking you. We continue to thank you for everything that you guys are doing to be supportive of it, to engage, to interact, to follow us on social media. There are Section 1904 accounts on Blue Sky and on Instagram. Did we decide that we're going to try to make a run on Twitter? What did we decide on Twitter officially?
There is a Section 1904 account on Twitter. I try and stay up on it. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I haven't been on Twitter in a couple hours. I should go back and do something. But
oh yeah, always a productive moment in your life when you go right over there and get the very latest on Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, at least one side of the Pete Hegseth story, I'm sure.
That guy, I don't think is going to make it.
No.
Did you ever see Shutter Island?
Yeah, I love Shutter Island.
Remember, like the movie starts, you're like, here's a Leonardo DiCaprio's character arc starts as like, here's this guy, he's dialed. And by the end of it, he's completely insane.
Nuts.
Tell me that's not the last 2 months of this guy. Did you see his whole interview, the rambling interview from the White House lawn on Easter? Like,
I saw clips of it. Didn't he try and like drag his kids into the picture at some point?
It was a lot. It was a lot where nobody, I'm sure there's a ton of people who don't care about this and certainly don't feel sorry for him. But how anybody could watch that and be like, yeah, that's a normally functioning human being. I had time to get him out of there. For like his own, if like people around him care about him, it was really sort of psychotic.
Yeah.
And you would expect that from him because of his background in television. I understand, like, you put somebody out there as a career military guy, right? Somebody's not used to a camera being pointed at him. It's the kind of thing maybe it could make somebody, act a bit differently than like there's a guy kind of was hired because he was on television, and it still was. Oh man, I don't know. Anyhow, so we do have a Twitter account.
We do. And we have a Twitter account, a Blue Sky account, an Instagram account. There's a Facebook page. Please go and look for these things and follow them.
Whoa, that's news to me. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, look at me getting up on all the places I don't want to be. But I did it in hopes of casting a large net and bringing in as many people as humanly possible. We want every San Diegan, I guess, who has an interest in sports to jump in the section, because this is a daily show for everyone. Our buddies over at the Gwintelligence podcast posted a new episode yesterday where they went to Bullies with
Bullies.
They went to Bullies with Bob Chandler and Bernie Wilson. I haven't listened yet. I imagine it's a bucket of laughs.
You don't have 3 hours of spare time to listen to this podcast.
But I sent those guys. I sent Corey and HJ a text saying, like, I'm looking forward to listening to this. This is going to be entertaining. And HJ hits me back with, yeah, nothing but free content over here at Gwintelligence. We're not putting stuff behind a paywall. And I was like, look, we're doing a show every day. If we were doing a show once every 2 weeks like them, sure, it'd be free. We're doing a show every day. This time is valuable. This is not our spare time. This is our real time. We gotta put stuff behind the paywall and get a whole community to support us. We need it.
Mm. Yes. And I have mortgages to pay.
Multiple.
I don't have a full-time gig over here. Got a little side thing going on with SDFC, but gotta pay the bills. And I'm looking at our Discord channel here, which will be operational at some point. We just aren't exactly sure when that'll happen. So
I think it's today. There was a couple last minute technical hiccups that when they were explained to me, I didn't even totally understand them, but the person who was handling them for us is much better, much smarter at this stuff than me. And he has told me that today he can wrap it up and send out emails. So everyone will be getting an email with a link to join the Discord. It will be linked to whatever your Discord username is if you already have one. If not, it will invite you to create one. And then we can get that started. But I really appreciate the patience on everyone as we figure out how to tie that together. Because, Darren, I did a Discord with Padres Hot Tub, and I couldn't figure this out. So it just became, if you joined the Padres Hot Tub, you paid the money, you got a link to the Discord. But then you could unsubscribe the next day, and it wouldn't take you out of the Discord. And so there was no checks and balances there. We had people that they had nothing to lose, and they could be a little reckless. And we want everyone at Section 1904 to I guess have something to lose, so that they have a reason to behave themselves and participate in the community in a upstanding way.
Okay. Yes, and that doesn't mean be a bunch of choir boys or girls, whatever.
No,
but
God, no.
Just not like we're trying to not be involved with harassment. So
yeah.
And John, will you be posting your NFL draft, your mock draft on our Facebook page? Is that something that you plan on doing here and putting some work into that? Will we have your final mock draft by tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow, Thursday, when the NFL draft takes place. Will you have your mock draft for us?
It'd be funny if I tried to put together a mock draft, because I think I know two players. I actually did the other day. I was like,
which two do you know? I bet you we know the same two players.
It's the two that we've talked about before. It's Cam Ward, who
Okay.
I think is going to end up being the number one pick, and who is my favorite football player that I've ever watched. And it's going to be really hard for me to not turn into a fan of whatever team drafts him. And the son of Deion Sanders, Shadur Sanders. Actually, does he have two sons in the draft this year? He might.
Kind of, but one of them is biological, and the other one is kind of his adopted son, Travis Hunter. See, I thought you were going to say Travis Hunter, because that to me.
So it's three.
I feel like that's the biggest name in the draft, because he's the two-way player out of Colorado, the wide receiver and the cornerback. And I guess it's been such a delightful couple of weeks to pay so little attention to the NFL draft. I gotta be honest.
None.
But even I'm aware, because then I can truly say like Travis Hunter is interesting from the standpoint of it's just actually interesting, not manufactured interest, because all of these people have all these hours to fill. And I guess the only thing that's worth discussing about Travis Hunter is whether or not he's going to pick one of those positions, or whether he wants to play both of those positions in the pros. So I don't know exactly what the verdict is on that. I don't know where he's going to get drafted. I'm sort of joking with John, and John, I will tell you, before we started recording this, and that was about 45 minutes ago. So about 50 minutes ago, just before we logged on, I looked up the NFL draft, and I was so delighted to know that I know nothing about this. Like, I didn't even know who had the number one pick until 50 minutes ago. Do you know who has the number one overall pick in the draft?
Okay, so the other day, I think I said this. The other day, I literally was like, I should know something about the NFL draft for the sake of this show and whatever. And I looked up a mock draft. I retained very little from it, except that Cam Ward was the number one pick going to the Titans. So I'm assuming the Titans have the number one pick.
Tennessee Titans have the number one pick in the draft. If you would have said, I'm challenging you, you have to bet on this an hour ago, I would have bet the New York Giants.
I mean, I often forget
don't know why.
I often forget that the Tennessee Titans even exist, so they probably wouldn't have been my pick.
Titans have the first pick. Cleveland has the second pick. The Giants have the third. The Patriots have the fourth pick. Mike Vrabel, I believe, is their head coach now.
Mike Vrabel is their head coach.
Jacksonville is number 5. Raiders.
Who's Jacksonville's head coach? Do you know? I don't.
Yes,
Didn't Doug Peterson get fired?
Oh, did he?
I think so. Let's see.
Then I do not know the answer to that.
Their head coach is someone named Liam Patrick Cohen.
Never heard of him.
He previously served as offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2024. He's 39 years old. If he was on this podcast, he'd be the youngest person here.
Okay. Well, this is the Kevin O'Connell bounce. Jacksonville 5, Raiders 6, Jets. How did the Jets end up with the 7th overall pick? Weren't they absolute dog shit last year?
Yes, they were.
Carolina 8, Carolina Panthers 8, New Orleans 9, and the Bears are 10. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know where this draft is? Because they moved the draft around now.
They do. Yeah, it's been in Nashville. It's been in Chicago. It's been in Philly. I'm sure it's been in other places. It's been in Vegas.
This couldn't be more unappealing to me. If that's any hint, I would never go to a draft anyway, but I would absolutely 100% never go to this draft.
I'm going to assume that they wouldn't be so stupid as to put it in like Jacksonville. So
I'd go to Jacksonville before I went to this place.
Wow. That makes it really hard. I have no idea. Where's it? Kansas City?
I'd probably go to Kansas City instead of this place.
Pittsburgh. No, Pittsburgh's good.
Pittsburgh's okay.
Cleveland. Cincinnati. It's in
that
Cincinnati.
That might be. Yeah, I might go to this place instead of Cleveland. I might go to this place instead of Cincinnati.
Minnesota's okay. Green Bay would be fun.
It's Green Bay.
It's Green Bay. It's in Green Bay?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I think Green Bay would be fun. Is it at the
Why?
stadium? Is it at the stadium? Is it at Lambeau?
Yeah.
I don't know. See, here's the thing. I've never been to Green Bay.
What is the point?
I've never been to Wisconsin. When Kaplan went up there, when we were at 1090, and he came back and he was so romantic about it. He's like, the stadium's in the middle, like a neighborhood. Everyone just like walks there. And I was like, that sounds so cool. That's so different from every other NFL experience I've ever had. That sounds so cool. I'm
guessing the hotel situation is miserable.
It's probably miserable.
I'm guessing getting an Uber around there is awful.
I just flying in is just bad.
I don't even know where you fly to. I mean, what's the nearest? There's nothing about this.
Milwaukee?
Yeah. I mean, if it were in Madison, that'd be one thing. But
Madison is cool, I've heard.
Yeah. I don't know. This Green Bay has just never done anything for me. Everybody talks about all the charm and it's amazing and it's this charm. And I was like, yeah, if you really are into the football charm, go to a college football game. There's
true.
A lot more charm and history associated with college football than there is in this money grubbing league where they'll just move any of these teams at any moment if they don't get exactly what they want. So
totally true.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I might be wrong. Lots of people seem to go to Green Bay and seem to like it. I'm just telling you, it has absolutely zero appeal to me whatsoever.
I think you're right. And then what's funny when Kaplan told me the whole thing about it's in the middle of the neighborhood and all these people, they just walk to the stadium. It reminded me of the movie they did about the Marshall football team. And it'd be like, on game day, you just see everyone in the town just walking towards the stadium. And I'm like, that's cool small town charm. But you're right. College football has this. They have it in spades. And it's of a higher quality than probably you get at Green Bay. So, yeah. You don't need to sub in the small town charm into the NFL. College football already has it.
Yeah. Mel Kiper's top 5. Cam Ward to the
Yeah,
Tennessee Titans. Travis Hunter to the Cleveland Browns.
sure.
Abdul Carter is a lineman. Oh, no, I'm sorry. A linebacker from Penn State to the
Hmm.
Giants. Will Campbell is a tackle. He's going to go to the Patriots. Mason Graham is a defensive tackle going to the Jaguars. None of these things are. Where's Shador Sanders?
Is he not going to the Raiders?
Number 9, the New Orleans Saints, according to Mel Kiper. Now, again, this is just his
Oh,
mock draft. I don't know what his methodology is. Even though I used to work with Mel back in the day, and I do love Mel. He once borrowed my hairbrush, or my ex-wife's hairbrush.
wow.
True story. Yeah, I don't recognize a lot of this. Got to be honest. And
And,
two
and
quarterbacks in the first round. Do I have that right?
And here's the thing, like no, I think there was a third. I think when I scanned through whichever one I looked through, they had like Jackson Dart, who's like the
Yeah,
old
Jackson
Ole Miss
Dart, Ole
kid.
Miss to the Rams.
Yeah,
26.
so there was 3 quarterbacks in the first round, and whatever one I looked at said Shador was probably going to go to the Giants or the Raiders. Apparently, Mel Kiper disagrees. Shout out Mel. But the other thing is, like, these kids are going to get drafted. It's April. There's going to be a mini camp. There's going to be training camp. There's going to be preseason before there's any meaningful football for them to play. So, like, why do I need to sit around all day and watch transactions happen, right? Like, making the NFL draft into a spectacle is one of the worst things sports ever did. It just glorified transactions. You're just sitting around waiting for someone to announce a transaction. It's terrible. Like, get back into the actual sports.
Well, lots of people like it, John. I mean, you have, I don't know how many tens, I'm going to presume it's going to be tens of thousands of people that are going to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin, completely overwhelm this entire city.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the success, you and I can sit here and we can poke fun at it, but I mean, it's sort of self-explanatory how many people are into this. You can gamble on it now because you can gamble on all of this stuff. So, listen, there's a lot of people. I try to take an approach of, if you like it, you like it. There's a lot of people that make fun of me for sitting around and watch a ton of soccer. So
It's going to be raining, Darren.
in Green Bay?
In Green Bay. Thursday, Friday, it's going to be raining. Not super cold. I was checking to see if maybe it would snow. Not super cold, in the 50s, but rain.
No, on April 23rd.
These things happen sometimes.
Well, yeah, I feel like weather's being redefined
Right.
in a lot of places. So I suppose there's a chance. Yeah, I do. I truly do try to take a less judgmental tone on this sort of stuff. But
Well, and this is...
I think I've just always made my point about the drafts that I'm not a fan of them.
This is what we said right before we press record. Like, it's okay if you don't care about the NFL draft. It's also okay if you care about the NFL draft, right? Like, it's like what you like, don't like what you don't like. Don't feel like you have to like the NFL draft just because ESPN tells you it's popular and sports radio tells you it's important. Like, if you don't want to like it, don't like it. It's fine. You can figure out who these guys are when you pick up a new copy of Madden in a couple months.
Yeah, and I think that's the point that's worth making here. Is, I don't ever want to just do something because you feel like you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
I've been driving around a little bit, and you can tell some people they're digging deep to try to. Not everybody can be Ben and Woods, where they genuinely seem to enjoy talking about the Padres as much as they do.
Yeah.
I think for other people, it very much now sounds like it's a little bit of a struggle. I just feel like I'm obligated to do this, even though I've run out of things to talk about.
That's the thing with the Padres right now, right? They've been playing for a couple weeks. The story is Tatis great, pitching great, rest of the team injured.
And 138 to go.
Yeah, and you can get through that entire conversation in like 45 minutes if you really stretch it out, and that leaves you with 2 or 3 hours left of radio.
I know. I mean, and then it's like, and you can hear it too. It's like, you get back in the car. Yesterday, I was driving home from Singing Hills. Like, I don't know. I mean, why not put Xander in the 2? I'm like, why? But again, there's a lot of people who probably would say, who cares about Diego Luna? Who cares about Diego Luna? He's a midfielder for Real Salt Lake, that he had his red card rescinded and that he's going to be eligible to play. And that potentially is bad news for San Diego Football Club. So, I mean, I get it. I get it. Who cares about, Inter Milan has to play a Coppa Italia game coming up today. And then they have to play. Hey, Barcelona caught a little bit of a break, by the way, since I'm going to this Champions League game next Wednesday.
The Italian game.
Yeah. So they're playing Inter Milan Champions League semifinal next Wednesday. I'll be there. And Barcelona had to play yesterday. They won. They have to play Real Madrid on Saturday in Copa del Rey final. So a high intensity kind of game. And then they play Champions League at home on Wednesday. And I was looking at
is that 3 games in like 9 days?
3 days and 3 games in 9. Yeah. And and it's yesterday was 1-0 and
They play B squad at least?
They did rotate. They rotated a little bit more than they normally do, but I won't bore everybody with those details. Now this will be intense. This will be intense on Saturday because it's a cup final against your arch rival. So it's just gonna be that way. But I was looking at Inter Milan. Inter Milan is going to play a Coppa Italia, their domestic cup. They're going to play a game today, Wednesday, and then they were supposed to play on Saturday, but because of Pope Francis's funeral on Saturday, they pushed the game back till Sunday. So then they're going to play
Sunday and Wednesday.
They're going to play their cup match today, and then they're going to play Sunday, and then they're going to travel to Barcelona for a Wednesday game.
So that's 3 games in a week.
Yeah.
Oof.
So I don't know. I don't know what the moral of that story is, other than they were supposed to play Saturday, and they thought, well, maybe it would be in the best interest to just have them play, or even just postpone it altogether. But they said, no, I think we're gonna have Inter Milan play on Sunday. So maybe some good news for Barcelona, John. I don't know. Maybe some good news. Maybe a little bit of divine intervention. I
was gonna say a little bit of the Pope smiling down on your trip and your enjoyment of that game.
All right, I have a conference call with SDFC here in a couple of minutes. I will just finish by saying SDFC's midweek show tonight on San Diego Sports 760 and the iHeartRadio app. I did go interview Tomas Angel, who was very engaging, very smart, very bright, 22 years old, good looking, lives in San Diego. Like, man, this guy's probably got a great life.
Yeah,
what a life this guy probably has.
He probably does. Hey, speaking of having a great life, the next 2 days, because last week people yelled at us, hey, let us know when you're going to be at Mason Ale Works in Barrio Logan. The next 2 days, we will be at Mason Ale Works in Barrio Logan. I don't really have a speaker system yet, so if anyone shows up, it'll probably be pretty quiet from the next table over or whatever you're doing. But come on out anyway if you want to. We will record. We will have a beer or two. We will eat some of the delicious tacos that they'll undoubtedly have now that they've gotten past the rush of the big weekend that they had last weekend. So feel free to come on out. We'll be there the next 2 days, sometime around 12:30 is usually when we're somewhere in the back patio. Maybe we'll be in our little garage space. Either way, we'll be there.
Okay. Yep. Logan Avenue. We look forward to it. They're great hosts, and it's a great part of town, and it's a part of town I like a lot. Maybe I'll ride the e-bike up there tomorrow, get a little bit of exercise, a little bit of sunshine. So that should be fun. And we'll do it again tomorrow. So we'll record it live. And I do want to do a soccer specific segment on this show sometime over the next couple of days. So stay tuned. We'll give you some details on that. But I'll be watching a little bit of the footy, and thank you all for your contributions. By the way, I don't have time for this. Did you see all the Dodger fans marching in the Wrigley Field yesterday?
No.
They so badly want to be soccer fans, don't they? I mean, that's
Yes.
such a soccer thing that they're trying to convert into a baseball thing. But that was another crazy one of those games, wasn't it?
We should start chants. The thing that I want to bring over from European soccer the most is chants and songs.
We actually interviewed the president of the supporters group for tonight's midweek show. So he's a buddy of mine who I've known since the Loyal days. His name is Miguel Barajas, and he's the president of Frontera SD, and we interviewed him. So Warren Barton interviews Mikey Varis, and I have Tomas Angel, and we'll interview the president of the supporters group. So if you ever wonder where they come up with all these lyrics, listen tonight, 6:00, or on the iHeartRadio app. Thank you all for supporting Section 1904. We'll do it again tomorrow from